Hello there. Thanks so much for wanting to interview me on my love of opera and my journey in being an opera singer. Because of the nature of Wetherboons, they can't know that I'm doing opera or that I want to do something else on the side. So I'm going to have to talk to you about this whole thing as if it's someone else, but it's really about me. And yeah, it's funny to imagine if the scenario is all really about me. So we're going to walk around my place of work, and then I'll tell you about my whole life up to this point in training to be an opera singer. But I would like to start actually by talking about the importance of opinion in relation to opera. The first point is, when I go to an opera, I go because I have listened to the music at home, because I discovered opera and I love it. I love the music, the mixture of the voice and orchestra. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the fact I can hear the orchestra and the voice at the same time. Now, sometimes when I'm at the opera, I think, oh, that sounds a bit different to what I heard at home. And then you might think, oh, I can hear that person quite well. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I can hear that line. I remember that line. And oh yeah, I understand. Angelotti is coming on stage at the beginning of Tosca, and he's deploring of the situation or whatever he's feeling. I'm starting to get engaged in some of the drama, and it's exciting, and it's the words and the music and everything combining. And I'll admit that words and text is what I'm, forever connecting to. But I'm enjoying the overall experience. But then someone else comes on stage, can't quite hear them. What are they saying? Did they sing the word amore? Or was it more? Or was it ore? Can't really hear. It's too quiet. They're not projecting very well what's going on. And then I start to get a bit disengaged because I can't really hear what's going on. And then I think, well, it's fine, just, keep paying attention. Then someone else comes on stage. Oh, I can hear this person's voice, they're nice. Oh, but it's a bit wobbly, isn't it? Very wobbly. Can't really hear what note they're singing. Can't see how the note is blending with the orchestra. Okay, so, right, yeah, it's very different to the singer I heard on that recording I was listening to. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this singer. The reason why I'm not a fan of this particular singer is because of that big wobbly sound. Were there any wobbly voices on that recording I was listening to, which is from the 1960s? No, there weren't. In fact, I've never heard a very wobbly vibrato in a singer from the 1960s, 1970s. That's strange. So these are all thoughts going on in the back of my mind. And then, Cavaradossi comes on. Brilliant. Wow, that's a voice. Okay, yeah, I like it. Yeah, you're really good. You're very expressive. I can hear similarities to Pavarotti, who I was listening to at home. I can hear similarities, but it's not quite as beautiful sounding in the sense of it being clean. The condita armonia is a bit sort of, yeah, it didn't really have much oomph from that high note, not to the same degree as Pavarotti. But I mean, to be fair, I can tell he's got a very good voice. It's just not as good. And then I experienced the rest of the opera. I go home pretty happy, actually. I really enjoyed that. Then, maybe I'm, many years later, I actually decide that I would like to be an opera singer myself. And then I talk to people about singing who also want to be opera singers. And what do they say? They like the singer that I heard with the slow vibrato. What? But that's horrible. The slow vibrato doesn't sound like operatic singing. It sounds like a tractor engine slowing down before it halts. I don't really think that opera singers should sound like tractor engines. But they really... Oh, a lot of people like this singer. My God. Okay. Right, this is not what I was expecting from the music college with opera. Does anyone like the singer who I liked? Yeah, people like him. I think it's pretty good. But as many people like the one with the slow vibrato, and in fact more people like the one with the slow vibrato. I mean, the one with the slow vibrato had a good voice, like it projected, but it was not a nice sound. It was a bit like me yelling out of my window after eating too much curry. Oh God. Then I leave music college and I enter the profession, and everybody loves this singer. Nobody says a bad word about this. My opinion appears to be completely unpopular. Oh, okay, and then I go online and I join forums, in my despair, thinking that my opinion isn't important, because that's how other people have made me feel, because they don't want to engage in debate. You say a singer isn't very good, and then they just shoot you down straight away. They don't ask you why. But then you go online, and you suddenly realise that people all over the world share the same viewpoint. Yeah, in fact, there seems to be a kind of growing culture from the online scene to kind of stop this slow vibrato culture. Because that's what I've noticed is in these years since that first opera, I've come across a lot of productions with a lot of slow vibrato, or a lot of productions with singers who can hardly hear. God. Anyway, I go about singing and it's really hard, and I kind of think a few times whether I want to give up. And I go into teaching. Because, if you're going to slow vibrato, become a singing teacher. No, I work in a pub for a bit, earn some money there, but it's just not enough, and I'm still trying to pay for my singing lessons. Even though I'm a bit wary of this guy who I kind of feel like has encouraged the slow vibrato. This is not something I want to talk about, it's just really awkward. Because he's a singing teacher, you're not meant to feel like you're made worse. So anyway, I teach singing, really enjoy it. I start teaching different types of singing, actually. Not purely opera at all. In fact, basically never opera. And then what do I do next? I just really enjoy teaching and I do more of it. And people ask me to do teaching on other days, and I do it for a number of years. In fact, I did it for 7 years. Get to a point of having done it for 7 years, while singing on the side and kind of getting better with my singing, suddenly realised that my vibrato's improving. Well, I've jumped ahead a bit. That's because I changed singing teacher 3 times since the one I was with for 5 years. And in the process of changing singing teacher 3 times, I've become more empowered and recognised the importance of selecting a singing teacher who really can show how to create that sound, which is not a slow vibrato. And it's reached the point where I'm currently with a teacher who is not only helping my vibrato, alongside my own technical brain, which I've developed through teaching, but also I'm now singing the very music I wanted to sing at the beginning. So it's a bit of a roundabout way of doing things, but I feel like I'm on track to making a noise which might have been heard in some of those 1960s, 1970s recordings. But what's really important is in order for me to make that great vibrato, I need to keep on track, and I mustn't be distracted by the school of thinking which a slow vibrato is good. In my opinion, a slow vibrato is never good. It's the hallmark of bad operatic singing. If it's stereotyped and joked around by children, I think that's a bad sign, isn't it? Opera is about feeling, it's about emotion. And who are the best at connecting with emotion in society? Children. They're just emotional machines. And this is the point. They're connecting with the emotion of what they hear, and they respond to it, and they mock it. They don't have the capacity to think like I did when I was watching that opera. And therein lies the tale. We need to be like children, but more analytical.
And that's cut.